Do you think you're in control of your life? Think you got that job because you nailed that interview? Think you chose your wife's birthday present? Think you chose your wife? Well, if you applied for that job online, bought the gift with one click, or if you met the love of your life thanks to internet dating, it wasn't down to you. It was down to an algorithm. A computer calculation that chose your CV, suggested presents based on your browsing history, and filtered potential partners to find your perfect match. I've had enough of that. And for every new job or couple finding love, there's a mortgage rejected or a chance of a dream job lost. And that's before we get to the global issues. Automated trading is thought to be behind the most recent flash crash of the pound. Mathematical models were at least partly responsible for the subprime mortgage market that led to the financial crisis. It's no longer us driving our decisions, it's data, and it's dangerous.
Data isn't dangerous. We live in a technological age, and I promise you, this is going to get more and more and more. We ain't seen nothing yet. All of those examples that you use are absolutely right. So algorithms and big data and AI, it's all driving the things that you've just described. This is just the start of it. So automation is getting more and more advanced, more human-like. We are just going to see this going more, and so we should. You cannot fight against automation. You cannot fight against transformation. What we can try and do, and one of the big problems and where I would agree with you, is some people are falling out of the system. Some people are being affected negatively by these algorithms. And what we need to do in those situations, and one of the problems is algorithms are opaque by their definition, by their nature. It's very opaque. It's very hard to understand, well, what is it? What was the aspect that made me not get that mortgage or that job or this or that? So what we do need to do is look towards how can we create transparency to stop some of that bias and unfairness that may or may not be happening.
Where they're dangerous is the fact that all of those things you've just said are coming after the algorithms are embedded in massive decision-making processes that we have. So if
Who initially writes the algorithms?
A person.
Yeah. So this isn't just
people
computers.
are fallible. People are fallible. One person, because they can write a computer program or can code, it doesn't mean that the questions that they're feeding in are the right questions. And there's countless examples of where a computer system interprets the information incorrectly. So an example is Tesla, for instance, the car manufacturer.
Yeah.
Now, you know, they've got lots of cars on the road, but there has been one death, somebody who was, you know, effectively in a driverless car at that point was very sadly killed because the computer program misinterpreted the environment and that resulted in his death. The other thing is that when you're dealing with the poorest people in society, they often come up against computer systems for decisions that affect their lives.
What's your answer? What are you wanting? What are you asking for?
Poor credit ratings lead to computers deciding that actually if you've got a poor credit rating, you're not particularly secure or good at your job.
I get it. So what are you wanting?
What am I wanting? Well, as you say, a much better management of that process, but also not a reliance as we've got on...
management by who?
Well, by all of us. I
wouldn't have a Tesco card and things like that because I don't want what I do in my life and what I consume and the rest of it to be examined in that way.
Yeah, but it's going to take much more than you not having a Tesco card to stop your life being...
It is, but I can make my rather pathetic gestures, can't I? Which is what that is.
Yeah, but I think they're interested in your consumption of toilet roll, Greg. Honestly, they're not that worried about it.
They're interested in everything, Nick. That's the problem.
I'll tell you what I worry about the most, you know, is the fact that the information we consume is now determined by algorithms. I mean, people don't buy newspapers anymore, and they don't...
It's not quite true. Not in the same numbers.
Hardly. They're dying. People consume their news through social media. Nobody knows Facebook's algorithm when it comes to news feeds. People are being fed news that they want to read, that they want to hear. Their worldview is being reinforced by these algorithms that somebody somewhere is deciding. And I think it's creating...
a problem?
Because people people are getting further and further apart. I mean, just look at the American presidential election. When you look at how far apart people are, there is no middle ground. People are being entrenched into these extreme positions, and everything they consume, all the news and information they consume, is just reinforcing their worldview. And it really worries me that the divides are getting bigger. And it's more worrying because I don't understand how that's happening. I could not tell you how social media platforms determine the news that you consume. And I think, I mean, you asked Graeme what he's asking for. The thing that worries me is that as well as making decisions about our lives, these algorithms are going to eventually replace our jobs because everything's getting automated.
That is the key. key, because this is, I think that's the worrying part because I think, is it next year they're going to have drones that are going to deliver packages in the skies? You could already go to the supermarket, not talk to anybody, check yourself out. They're talking about driverless cabs. I won't mention the app firm. We all know of whom I speak. Driverless cabs. What are all these people... So if we haven't got people in the supermarkets, we haven't got people driving cabs, we haven't got people doing courier deliveries, what are all these people going to do for jobs? There'll be nothing left.
And also, that's already happening in terms of processing information. Algorithms and systems can process huge amounts of information on a scale that is unprecedented.
Yeah, and it's brilliant.
Now, but that doesn't mean it's brilliant. Why is it brilliant? Because the results... The results...
No, I agree with you.
But the results are so generic, it doesn't allow for individuals. We're all individuals. We have individual circumstances, individual talents, abilities. Wow. And what we're doing, apparently, and with this process, you know, I'm not against data, I'm not against learning from statistics, but ultimately that can only be a very small, I believe, part of the process, because we've got to rely on the human intervention and understanding of situations.
In answer to your Nick's point, I mean, when I was young, people talked about we were looking forward to the leisure society, when actually people weren't going to have to work. Actually, people work harder now than ever before. So when the other things emerge for jobs, I suspect they will.
Obviously we need engineers. We'll need people to service the drones and the driverless cars.
But who could have foreseen any of the things that are in jobs today, the jobs people do today, 30 years ago?
But now we can foresee it now. I mean, the real blame for me is with the government. If you ask the government what is their strategy for coping in the world within our lifetimes in which huge swathes of the employment market will disappear, they don't have one. They literally don't. They're not skilling people so that people coming through the education system now are going to be able to function in that world.
Politicians live on 5-year time.
For now.
They don't live for 30 years' time.
Yeah, but, Sir Nick, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. Okay. So the labour market will transform significantly. This is almost like another industrial revolution, if you like. It's a digital revolution. It is happening. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to skill ourselves. We're going slightly off the level of algorithms. In China, by 2020, they're going to create this big, massive government database where every single citizen has almost like this social credit score, if you like, where everything is analysed, whether they've had a driving ticket, their fiscal stuff, all of this stuff is coming together. So this is only going to get worse. And I think that what you've got to do is, when you talk about what's the government going to do about it, the worst thing that a government can try and do is try and put cumbersome regulations on some of these things.
But do you think that's good, though? Do you think that's good that every piece of somebody's information, if they've made a mistake, that's going to be flagged up by a mathematical formula?
I think you're establishing yourself with a great business opportunity here, because what will happen is human intervention will become value add. So if you've got this situation where all of these people are losing out because of computer says no, there's a nice value add there for an organisation to look at people case by case. It's not the world we're going to be living in. We have to embrace it. We have to prepare ourselves for it. And we just have to make sure that we're there and we're working with it.
But there's no chance of getting value added if the computer's already said no 3 times.
Well, there is. You'd set up a brand new business that isn't involved in computers, that employs people, and it's those people. And by the way, let's not forget very briefly, humans are biased too. So by getting rid of these computers, you ain't suddenly going to have this non-discrimination going on in the world.